All right, sorry about that delay. Some technical difficulties for internet, but we are here joined with Sue and Abby from Heartland. And we're just getting some questions regarding what their, their business functions, where their office is located, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about the company's culture. What are some of the career paths that are available within your organization?
Yeah, so, I think we're looking at this from more of an IT perspective at this point, but we really do try to promote people from within the organization to move up through the ranks. Many times an entry level position, if there's somebody that's coming from Fox Valley Tech, maybe something like a cabler. We've had a couple of people that have come in as doing Cat 5 cabling, and they're able to, if they, again, show good work ethic, good learn ever, and you never quit learning. You're always going to continue to learn, and willing to do the certifications and so on. They're able to move up from a cabler one all the way up through AV programming, or or a team lead, or a foreman on our cabling world. If you're more of a network administrator, you might come in to our help desk group, which is really a great first step in the organization. You'd come in as a managed services or help desk number one, and from there you're going to be working alongside people that are going to be mentoring you and training you to move up through that ranks as well. The hard, I guess, a little bit of a harder position would be as a network engineer or consulting engineer that would be in the field. That would be something that we typically don't. We may bring in somebody as an intern, and then if you show some, in fact, we have one of the Fox Valley Tech interns right now working for us, and he'll be graduating in December. His name is Drew Basarek, and Drew has done an extremely good job for us, and I believe he's going to be graduating in December. And when he graduates, I would fully expect that he'll be offered a full-time position as a consulting engineer. So those are some of the things. The other on the programming side, I'm not sure of who our audience is here, but on the programming side, having somebody come in as I don't want to say a junior, but like a level one, again, could be intern. We're more than happy to bring people in as an intern, and these are paid internships, by the way. But working or going to school at Fox Valley Tech, you could be a full-time person in the summer. And then when school starts, very possibly you could work part-time during the school year. And again, it's all about working hard once you get here, working hard, being diligent in your continual learning abilities, and doing the certifications that are being asked of you. And then you never know, you could become a full-time person. And then once you're full-time on the software development side, there's a lot of different areas you could go into depending on what your interests are.
Awesome. I mean, again, I'm learning a lot as well about some of the different, things, and I didn't even know, again, about the internship program. Is that fairly common? Do you see that your interns are getting positions or full-time positions within Heartland?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say this: we're picky. We don't just take interns to fill a bunch of internships. We're really very picky about who we bring in as an intern, understanding that these are in many cases, these are technical internships, and you've got to be more than just technical. You have to have some kind of a personality as well, because we are consultants when we really get down to it. So you have to be able to be conversant. I know when I've spoken at Fox Valley Tech on those panels, and have been in I call it speed dating. I don't know what it's called, but where everybody comes and sits at your table and you have 15 minutes with them, and then you get another group. I always tell them that one of the most important classes they take is their speech class. While all the technical things are important, you can learn that, but I always said, go home over the holidays and practice speaking to your relatives that you don't have much to say to. It's so important. So so I mean, we do, and back to would we hire them? We do try to choose people that we feel have a future here at Heartland, because really while we do want to hire senior people, we really like to kind of, if you will, grow our own folks as well, and hire from, from the ground up, if you will. So yeah, if you come here, if you can get your foot in the door as an intern, we're more than happy to give you that shot at being full-time.
All right, that's now talk about different roles that you do have. What does a typical hiring process look like for your organization? And also maybe going into some depth about had that process changed at all due to the current pandemic?
Yeah, well, so typically when we have an opening, you'll find it posted to the state job board. If it's more of an internship or an entry-level position, we will probably post it out to Tech Connect. So you'll see it out there. And then it'll always be on our website as well. Those are the three places I think you'll always see the positions posted. Have things changed with COVID? Yeah. It's interesting because most of our interviewing now has been virtual. We'll maybe have an initial phone screen, and then when they're meeting with the hiring manager, they've always come into our office. And we do make that as an option that they can come into the office and interview. But I would say 90% of the interviews now are virtual. We do have orientation here every Monday morning, because between our label division and our business systems, we usually have somebody starting, at least one person every week. And those tend to be in person. But then you might work here a day or two, and then some of the people have chosen to be remote again. So things are, and I don't know if it's ever going to get back to the way it always was. I think people are finding that people can work remote pretty successfully. Now, remember this, the positions we're talking about for not the software development positions, but the networking positions, in many cases, you're actually working with a client. So some of those tend to be where you're not working totally remote. You may have to go on site to a client site, but again, everything is, I don't know what the word is up for grabs, if you will. I mean, it is open to negotiation. That would probably be the better.
Well, yeah, I understand. It's great to see that you guys are at least have different options. You hear a lot of employers that, there's no option to work from home. And it's great to see that you guys are kind of just, working with things as they come along and offering your employees, some different options to the best of your ability. What advice could you give to students that might just be graduating or want to be graduating in the next year about, going into the workforce in this, troubled time?
Yeah, it's tough. It really is right now. I would say a couple of things, and I think most of the people that are on this call are probably more technical in nature. I'm only guessing. Networking doesn't always go hand in hand with being technical. I mean, you tend to be a little bit more introspective or a little more, not as outgoing. Really try hard to get to become networked. Use your LinkedIn profile. Learn to, if possible, attend any sort of events, even if it's virtual events, so that people get to know who you are. Try to reach out to people who've maybe, spoken in your classrooms, or people that you might have had an internship with, or maybe you haven't had an internship, but you have a neighbor. Use whoever you can to network with. It really is all about networking. We get, for any given position that opens up, we get tons of resumes, and a lot of times resumes kind of look the same and they don't tell your story. So again, use the people you can to network with, and also spend some time with that resume. Have somebody who has some experience, whether somebody that's either in HR or is a recruiter, or maybe yourself. Reach out to your resources and use everything you can, because it's a big deal. I mean, finding work is a full-time job. It really is. And it is the most important thing you can do once you're getting ready to graduate. If you can somehow find an internship or find a place, you don't have to call it an internship, but get involved with a company where it might not be your ideal job, your ideal job, but people will notice if you join an organization and you're joining it as a customer service person, but you have a web design degree, they'll find ways to use you, and all of a sudden you'll become valuable for something else.
All right. And great information. Now, we always talk about networking and the power of networking as well, and LinkedIn being a tool in this network. Now, do you utilize LinkedIn a lot with current employees or new employees?
Okay, you're really cutting out again, but again, I think I think I understood what you're saying. We do use LinkedIn we do use LinkedIn a lot. I like, honestly, I think it's a really positive thing if you're applying for a position that you are LinkedIn, looking at, if you know that I'm the recruiter or that Abby's the recruiter, that you go out and find her profile and try to connect with her. Don't be a pest about it, but certainly apply it, link into the person, let them know that you're interested. The most important thing too, if you are able to get an interview or a chat, 15-minute phone conversation, please do not ask, what does your company do? Please have that not time. If you're truly interested in Heartland, I'm going to hope that you know something about us. I mean, you might be able to ask some questions about what you do know that maybe wasn't clear on the website, but don't ever say, what does your company do? That is like the instant turn off for me at any startup job fairs. We use LinkedIn. Can't see my face. Okay, I'll move around again. How's that? So, those would be the suggestions I would have.
Okay, awesome. So I'm just trying to adjust my audio here again.
You're good again.
Good. Okay. All right. I don't know what's going on.
I don't either.
So what are you guys looking for in a resume for a candidate that could potentially get called for an interview? Are there any specific things that you're really looking for within that document?
Yeah. So, you have a number of different types of students that are at Fox Valley Tech. Some of the students that you have work experience, and then they go back to the tech to get their degree. They're going to have a little bit more to write on their resume, but what we want to see is something that is applicable to what they're applying for. Every position has a lot of duties that you do, but make your resume look like you're applying for my role. So again, if you're a returning student, and what do they call it, non-traditional student, then certainly, put the things on your resume that are applicable to what you're now looking to do. And then also you're going to want to, I like seeing the classes that you took. I don't know if all recruiters feel the same way, but if you're a younger student or a more traditional student, you probably don't have work experience that's going to be exactly applicable to what you're applying for. But put down either the courses that you've taken. I really do like seeing that on the resume, applicable courses. Also, if you have some sort of I don't know what you call it exactly at Fox Valley Tech, but if you have some sort of a capstone or a final presentation that you're going to be involved in, put that down, because that's really, to me, that's work experience. If you did a project of some sort, it's also interesting to me to see what role you played in that project. If you were the project manager, if you were the technical person, if you were the database person, if you were the, whatever it is, because that might be all you have to talk about, but that would be interesting to me, that you're at least applying something you've done in school for your future work role.
Okay. All right, and once they get through this interview, if you are once they get through the stage with the resume and get called
Mhm.
for the interview, what would you say would be your top tips for a student that or a community member who is interviewing? What really stands out to you in the interview process?
Yeah, I think that Fox Valley Tech does good at preparing these students for this because when I've come in to do the mock interviewing, they seem pretty well prepared. But certainly having a nice, clean looking resume, have extra copies of the resume in case the person doesn't have one in front of them. Um, Bring your little notebook in there so that you can and have some questions and have questions that are applicable. Have something, questions that are applicable to the position. Um, and practice, have somebody practice with you, asking you questions. Certainly, if you're able to attend some of these mock interviewing sessions or even more than, and having it come from different people, I would feel that I try to make it as easy as possible for the candidate and try to ask questions that are going to be easier for them to answer, so that I can get them talking. Not everybody is that like that. So, I mean, maybe have a couple of different people mock interview you, if you will, so that you can, maybe there's going to be somebody that's going to be all business. Well, you should be ready for that type of interview as well. Dress appropriately when you come in. You don't have to, you don't have to be all dressed up in heels and a and a dress, but certainly, take a few extra minutes and come prepared so that you look like you're appropriate for the type of role you're applying for.
Okay. All right. Awesome. That's great information. And so, after that question, we have about 4 minutes or so remaining in time, and I apologize for the technical difficulties. I don't know, like I said, don't know what's going on, and I think that that's one of the things that a lot of places are going through is the
Oh yeah.
technical difficulties with with working from home, and thank you for working through that with us. So I'll open it up here for anyone in attendance that to ask any questions to the individuals here regarding their positions that they have or just in the job search in general. And for our viewers who are viewing this later online, feel free to send your questions in to our Employment Connections email address, employmentconnections.edu. And we can get those questions over to Heartland, or we
Yep.
can answer them ourselves as well. So I'll open it up here for the next 3 minutes or so. Is there any questions that you have?
I'll just throw it out there, Greg. If anybody doesn't want to ask the question of the group, but feels like they just want to ask me a question or Abby a question, I'm more than happy to take a phone call. And as is Abby, we're happy to help. At this moment in time, we have our full complement of interns, but that doesn't mean that a lot of them will be going back to a college in the fall. So there could be opportunities. So I'll just throw it out there that if there's anything we can answer offline, we're happy to do that.
Okay. And that's great as well. And would you recommend? I don't know if you guys have LinkedIn profiles, but if people would to connect with you on LinkedIn as well.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, that's awesome. I don't see any hands raised or questions coming up in the chat. So I thank you for taking the time to speak with us. I hope that we can. Oh, 1 second. Question is. Uh, there are so one question from the chat. There are a lot of articles about this being a really hard time for businesses across the country. How do you see COVID-19 affecting your business currently?
Yeah, we've been really fortunate. We're considered to be an essential business. From the label printing side, they print labels for, the Walgreens and the Costco's and the so ons of the world, for their pharmaceutical areas and others. So they've been working. They have not skipped a beat. They work 4 shifts back there, and they're working 24/7. So that area has been very busy. And on the business system side, we're also considered to be essential because we keep people's, well, what we're talking about right now, we could be working with a lot of organizations who never had to worry about people working remote and having connectivity issues. And now we've been very busy doing that. So yeah, so we've been busy. Where it's going to affect us, is right now it hasn't yet. But for all the businesses that we are helping or working with, there are some of them that are maybe not going to make it during this time. And that will, trickle down, if you will, to us where, okay, they're not going to be our client anymore. So, yeah. So, I mean, that would be it. But I mean, from a business perspective, you just keep going on. And like I say, we've been very fortunate in that we've hired people throughout this. We've not furloughed anybody. So
that's a great, awesome. It's great that everybody was able to remain, kept whole through
yep.
this process. Are there any other questions from anyone in the meeting here? Okay, I don't see any other questions coming in. So again, thank you for taking the time to speak with us. I hope that we can work together on projects in the future. Hopefully not virtually, but maybe virtually. So thank you for taking the time to speak with us. My name is Greg, and thank you for everyone here in attendance or watching virtually for attending our virtual JSN session. Please keep watching your social media sites, and we will have an update on upcoming sessions, and stay tuned for a change in the format of our sessions starting in the beginning of August.
Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Stay safe.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.